Happy Republic Day, everyone, and welcome to the Devfasttt podcast. Today we have with us the extremely talented Lieutenant Commander Bijay Nair. Thank you, sir, for joining us. So, sir, as civilians, we always look at the Indian Armed Forces as something that's very interesting as well. Not just inspirational, it's something that's interesting as well. So, what is the most interesting aspect of the Navy which made you choose it as a career?
Yeah, I mean, to be very frank and to be very honest, for me, joining Navy was all about the uniform, because that was the first thing I saw about the Navy rather than a ship or a submarine or a special force, nothing. Because I think it was 8th standard, 9th standard. And since I'm from Mumbai, I stay very close to a naval camp, a naval civilian camp. So, yeah, so there was an incident wherein we had gone to play inside the cantonment, trespassing the normal rules and regulations. And then, many a time we would just escape uncaught rather. And one such occasion, the luck gave away and we were caught by this, the naval guys there. And we were marched up to a gypsy. A gypsy is a Maruti gypsy, which was the naval vehicle, the white one. And when we were standing out, there stepped a handsome young man with white shoe, white, uniform, the golden epaulette. Probably was a lieutenant, I guess. And then a white cap, P-cap, and with a Ray-Ban. And the entire demeanor of that particular person was such that it wooed a charm on me. Boss, what is this? This is how a personality should be. This is how your life should be, your third part. And that was the first impression I got about the Navy. And not knowing much about the Navy, I subsequently maintained the same answer when I went for my 2 SSBs later. And they were pretty surprised. Like people come from, when someone asks why you want to join Navy, they will give all the correct reason, technical force, I want to be learning. I just said, for the love of uniform, and there is a story behind it. And this is my story. So if you want to accept it, fine. If you don't want to accept it, you can reject me. But this is what is an honest answer. And that was the first step and the first time, because previous to that, I was very inclined towards camouflage, the olive green. I wanted to be in army. And I was very impressed with the 2 shows which were there during that time. My generation. So that was Paramveer Chakra and Fauji. So that was the army for us, no formal background, no family background, no cool, wherein someone will come and some folks from the armed forces, nothing like that. So the suburbs, as such, Mumbai and all, even today, the inclination is very less towards the armed forces because of various reasons, And just imagine those days to totally different tha. So yes, so to answer your question, uniform was the charm which made me think about Navy and to work towards it, Thinking and aspiring is one thing, but there's a hell lot of work to be done to be in the right place, right time, and to be, what I have done, whatever in my span of career with the armed forces.
So that's very motivational, honestly speaking. And speaking of motivation, we've talked about motivation a lot on this podcast previously. People have told us about all kinds of motivational stuff. There is this Baba and this book and this motivation and this formula. And honestly, half of it does not work. But when you look at the modern armed forces and the way they're achieving things, either you take like the Kargil war or anything at all, whatever the level of things they're achieving is absolutely superhuman. And the kind of motivation I imagine from their point of view is extreme. So what is that motivates them, and can that chief primary source of motivation be used for a normal civilian to achieve, if not superhuman, then at least extraordinary level of productivity or extraordinary level of effectiveness?
Yeah, see, when a person join the armed forces, when I say a person, yeah, you can take an entity who's joining the armed forces at various age of their life. Someone who comes after 12th standard. The very basic thing for the officers start after 12th standard. Either they go to NDA, they go to INA, they go to AFA. This is the first step, or to AFMC, and there are other places. So first step is after 12th, and the next is after your graduation. So imagine after 12th, you are what, 17, 18, right?
True.
And then after graduation, probably 20, 21. This is the first stepping stone. And for the soldiers and sailors and the airmen, earlier it used to be 10 standard, as a, boys navy, they used to call after 10 standard, they used to join. So now why I'm giving this rationale of age is because at that age, when people are about to start thinking, we are a teenage where about they are starting to understand things, and here people, they are already married towards the nation. I'm using this word, married towards the nation. And for anybody who joins the academy, see, getting a job is not a primary aim, right? Anybody joining the armed forces, for them job doesn't matter. It's not a job, because job hai to kya hai ki, like you think about it, then you will think of growing, you will think of changing that job if you don't like. But joining the armed forces is a commitment. It's a commitment
True.
purely. And here you are joining knowing that things may go wrong with you. You may or may not,
True.
because war or any such situation doesn't announce and come. I don't know there is a war 5 years later, because anything can happen any point of time. So
True.
when you sign up for the armed forces, it is the internal thing within you, the internal, orientation, which you would have already done from 8th standard, 9th standard. So this comes at a very pretty young age, and we are not doing for the family, not doing for the father. Nobody forces you. Even if somebody forces you, the chance of you getting selected is very minuscule. It is one of the toughest
True.
entries to join the armed forces. See, one is aspiring to join the armed forces. Other thing is to be there, to follow the entire chain of process and to be there. So your question, what motivates these people? So the motivation comes from within. The motivation comes to see the tricolor, बोलते हैं ना कि झंडा ऊंचा होना चाहिए.
Yes.
Unfurling of tricolor, वो जब हवे में, when it is
Absolutely.
roaring high, that is the motivation. For a soldier, someone who's getting a pay of, say, whatever, 30, 40,000, and then he doesn't know when he's at a Siachen, when he's flying, the best of the aircraft, when he's at some other border, the desert border, when he's in deep sea, when he's under water, when he or she, they doesn't know for whom he's or she is fighting.
Yes.
They're not fighting for Ambani or Adani. They are fighting for every man and woman of this country,
True.
right? उनको पता ही नहीं होता सियाचन में क्यों खड़े, बॉर्डर पे क्यों खड़े, and they know that it is so hostile. Weather may change. अगर sea में है तो sea becomes rough. कहीं से भी गोली आ सकती है on border. Terrorists and so many other people are there who hate us, right?
True.
And for the sake of motherland, for the sake of people of our country, for the sake of seeing Tiranga high, he or she is ready to take that bullet.
True.
He or she is ready to give back also. So the first thing, he or she is ready to give back, and he or she is ready to take that.
True.
And that is motivation. So the entire motivation comes from the fact that it's a true love towards nation.
True.
So many a time when you go for the SSBs and things like that, they will ask you why you want to join the armed forces. Yes, the answer is definitely it's love for the nation, but the love for the nation is at the next level. Every individual who's sane and who's part of our beautiful country, everyone wants to see
True.
Tiranga high. There are, yes, rogue elements definitely who would have over-educated and then they blabber something. Yeah, there is a section of such people also. They don't deserve to be in this country. But otherwise, 99% of the individual
Absolute
contributes towards
patriots.
the development of nation. It is not necessary कि uniform पहन के ही हम कर सकते हैं. But the very fact that someone who has worn the uniform, he or she is married towards that, that is the
True.
difference. And when we make a choice of wearing the uniform, joining the armed forces, there is no comeback. There is no comeback.
True.
It is not like a regular 9 to 5 job wherein, bore हो गए तो बोल दिए कि मैं job change कर देता हूँ. I don't want to work. I'll start some entrepreneurial venture. या मैं like whatever. We neither think nor we have an option. The only option is that be there, excel and do well, till the time you have your tenure of 10 years as a short service, 15 years as a sailor or a soldier or an airman, 20 years is the next bracket. So it is up to you. So every individual wants to give that minimum number of years for which he or she is committed.
True.
And any individual, see, again, the entity here, the entity is nation. Here, the entity is nation. We are answerable to the nation. And when it comes to corporate, why there is, many a time I am a corporate guy now. Many a time you need to push people, for various
True.
reasons. Here, the people work not for the companies. They work on their self-development, their goals, their salary, and together everything contributes towards the organization. But
True.
yes, when the organization doesn't take care of them, or when the organization is not doing well, then obviously the motivation changes, the loyalty changes.
True.
And then there is a shift because, as I said, individual growth and development is important. Then the people start searching job for a better prosperity. So the loyalty towards an organization, which used to be earlier, 2 decades back, when globalization was not which had happened pre-91, there people used to stuck in a company for 30 years, 40 years and all, not because for the love of the organization, because of the security of job and because of the availability of the opportunity, right?
True.
So yes, there is always a mix and match. And the same person, if you put him into the shoes of his own entrepreneurial venture, he will give 500%, no, because that
True.
is his or her own. But
True.
when it comes to an employee has a limitation,
True.
all the
Definitely.
employees has a limitation.
Definitely.
So it's a very a difference between an entrepreneur and someone who's working for the organization. There's a huge difference.
True. True.
So, Baki, motivation, see, the definition of motivation is that you have to find what motivates you. Like
True.
if I go to office every day, I'm sitting from 9 to 9 and I'm working. That doesn't mean that I'm motivated to work that many number of hours.
True.
Probably that would be my, जैसे बोलते हैं ना, मजबूरी होगी. Because either I have to prove my point to save my thing, and if the company revenue dips or things happens, so I am aware that I should not be the first one who should be told to go. So I have to prove my point कि देखो यार मैं 12-12 घंटे बैठता हूँ. I'm productive. Right.
True.
So this is the difference. And armed forces, इसलिए बोलते हैं ना, armed forces, it's not about career. It's a profession. It's a profession where you want to excel and you want to contribute to this great nation. And इसलिए लोग सोचते नहीं है. When you see any war, 1948 के बाद से जितने भी war हुए,
True.
I know when you are in a Kargil war, when Captain Batra or anybody who was part of that, the front line, they knew that they have to climb, they have to beat an enemy who's sitting at a comfortable position where their chances were 99% and we are at 1%, right?
True.
And they know that tomorrow we may not come back. But what
True.
motivates them? What motivates a Captain Batra to motivate his people, right? And that is that Josh of
A different
seeing
level of patriotism.
It's not patriotism again, it's that urge to see that tricolor up,
True.
ये नहीं कि patriotic, nothing like that. It is that commitment towards what you have learned in academy, that नाम नमक निशान जिसको बोलते हैं ना, for that we kill people, we die also, so I'm using also, we die also, so that die is a one of those attributes of
Unwanted
thing, right? So ये सारे motivation होता है. And why a soldier who's ready to if not die, he or she is ready to be handicapped for life, still he or she lives life much larger than any of the civilians.
True.
That is the difference.
Undoubtedly. So that's very inspiring and very true. 100%. So being a warrior in itself is a very high risk game. Anything that you do, any decision that you take could, as like we mentioned, unwantedly get someone killed. And I'm sure there is some amount of stress attached with that people's lives depend on decisions you take. But coming back to civilian life, as you mentioned, now it's comparatively a little low risk because you can lose money, you can lose a job, you can lose something that can be regained back. But at one point you might have had to take decisions that no one could have gotten back from. Like you can't undo death, and you can't undo the unwanted scenarios that come with war. So does the stress after coming back to civilian life reduce as the consequences of your decisions are not as large?
See, again, when you become a veteran and when you come out of service at various point in life, when I say that, the commitment would be 10 years, 20 years, 15 years, whatever. Or maybe you may be forced to leave because of certain medical conditions, or, wherein you are no more useful for the armed forces. They don't carry baggage. It's not, yes, they carry for you, you, they care for you, that's a different thing. But at certain point of time, they can't carry the baggage, and that's how the life is. You, as a soldier, we all know that, and that's why we sign the bond or whatever. Whenever we sign the paper, we know this all are the consequences, and this may happen at any point of time. And the decisions which we give may affect so many people. As a leader, when I am there, yes, the stress level definitely is very, very high when we are in that certain environment. But we know that how to handle that soldiering stress. So we have been trained in academy. So when we come out, and that's a very organized setup in the armed forces. The structure. Even if I'm a lieutenant commander and people from my fraternity, whether it's Army, Navy, Air Force, the juniors will salute me irrespective of across the forces. I salute the seniors. It's a process. It's a process which is built in, right? Now, when I come to a civilian life, the stress is different in different capacities, like, because when you come out, you need to have a job, because unless you are from a family or a background where you have enough to fend for. So when that happens, when you need money for various reasons, for your kids to grow and their education, for you to survive, to have various minimum things. So the first stress is that where will I fit in? Because whether you like it or not, you were in a government job, your salary was whatever the amount, but it used to be there by the end of month, 30th, right? You are an entrepreneur, that corporate mate doesn't work like that unless you get your payment, and
Month
that's
to
how you
month,
disburse to your people. Month to month is a challenge. So yes, unless you get to work with some organized corporate like Tata's or Birla's or the Godrej or the Reliance to some extent, wherein कि 30th को मेरा पैसा आ जाएगा, 31st. So that reduces the anxiety and the thing कि ठीक है. But when you are with a startup, when you are with a family-owned business, things are different, And for a veteran, now you are placed in an environment where things are totally different. The organizational behavior is totally different. The commerce happening is different. The set of people are different. The work culture is different. And if you are from the MNC, so it's totally different. So it takes time for you to adapt. And the best thing is that adaptability is one of the things which now, last few years, armed forces have been training their men and officers and the women officers and the men and women who are there at various capacities. They prepare themselves for release. So when you are going out, you can expect this. So the stress and anxiety level, which used to be pretty high earlier, is now they have realized that, and they are helping them to reduce that anxiety and stress through various mediums, through counselings and things. Because trust me, at that age of 33, 34, that is after 10 years of service, or 43, 44, at 20 years of service, your outlook is totally different, and you are thrown into an environment, a secured environment, which had a different challenge, to an unsecured environment, which will have a different challenge. See, people respect you, no doubt. When I go to the CV street, everyone will respect you because of your rank, because you have served for the nation, and now the awareness is a bit more. They will respect you, but respect is not enough. For you to be in a corporate, it's a two-way. You should also know the skills, and the corporate should also require your skills, right? And when you live at 10 years, you are at a decent salary in the armed forces, and then when you expect that salary outside, your skill set should be totally different. It's not about that. So there is a challenge, and the only stress is that how to get adjusted, how to get adaptable, and how to contribute to the organization where you are going. And once that is set, that it will take 2 years, and then we are also pushing a lot of corporates. We are requesting them now, being in corporate for 14 years, that give them a chance. They are good people. They are talented. They were the cream of this country when they finish their 12th standard or graduation, because the cream and the cream only get selected. So the talent is already there. Talent is already there. That is the argument I put when I speak to my counterparts of the corporate, that they are talented. इसलिए वो लोग select हुए. They are all India rank 4, 5 and all. So now it's a matter of just getting and molding them. And just me, all of them whom we have taken, or when I was taken, or now when I take people, एक साल का थोड़ा lean period होता है. उसके बाद they fly. उसके बाद once they are used to this culture, then their game suddenly changes from one step to the 10th step straight away. And that's the beauty of armed forces. So yes, the stress is there. The first first 2 years is pretty stressful, but uske baad things are fine. And then there are amazing entrepreneurs also who could go out and become entrepreneur, probably because of the solid background they had or the financial savings they had. They wanted not to work with anybody, but they had ideas. So amazing individuals. To name some, like the Leela Group of Hotels. I was a captain in the army, and then many other companies where the leader or the founder was from the armed forces, right?
True.
So this is what is the difference.
So that's very inspiring. So since you are a war veteran, I have to ask you this. So oftentimes wars are pushed to the shove because of maybe political conditions, but being in the armed forces, do you ever get the gist ki, okay, there is a war coming, or is there any idea from before a war starts?
See, there is a political build-up. Every war there is a political build-up. It's not कि suddenly आज हम बैठे हैं बात कर रहे कल war हो गया. It doesn't work like that. There are channels of negotiations. There are rounds and rounds of talks and debates. And then, of course, one of the countries take that initial step of, when the talk breaks or things doesn't happen, so they retreat to that particular action.
True.
And then it's a build-up. No war ever has been, prompt action ki kal ka kal war hua. Even if you go back to history, if you study geopolitical and historical aspect of our country, every war, whether it's in the Mughal period or the British period or the erstwhile dynasties, everyone knows कि war होने वाला है. कहीं ना कहीं से पता चलता है कि okay, ये है करके. So war has never been thrust upon you, but a built up, like Russia, Ukraine, we all knew कि there is something piling up.
True.
And it will come. So whether it's, and the latest one which we saw pre-Kargil war was the Gulf War. It was also a scenario where you know that something is going to happen. So yes, we know karke, and then there is once that decision is taken ki okay, kuch to hone wala hai, and then you are in a prompt action. Army, Navy, Air Force. So you move. So the mobilization happens. So when we went for Ops Parakram after Kargil, that was in 2001, the war didn't happen, but there was a war scenario which was built up. There was the political thing which almost war. So we all were part of that, and we had moved, we had mobilized our stuff, and that mobilization itself took 1.5 months. We knew that it is going to happen, but of course, a lot of negotiations, lot of talks. This was post attack on parliament, So things, when it was Kargil war, similar mob happened and the war happened, right? When it was Parakram, the mob happened, but the war didn't happen. So see, nobody wants a war, to be very frank. It's only if you see the real reason behind any war. They say the entire world globe is controlled by the arms and ammunition industry and the pharma industry. These are the two people who controls the entire world. So unke ups and downs pe they have this favoritization with respect to the countries,
True.
Like if US hai, so there will be a set of countries, and then USSR, pehle tha Russia, they have a set of countries. And these two people are the biggest arms and ammunition dealers in this world, including making of ships, aircraft. Ab wo bikega kaise? Why will a country buy an arms and ammunition or a aircraft or a ship from them if there is no scenario? ठीक है, to protect my the borders or the water, I will buy a certain number of things and I'll go for indigenization. But when
sometimes
you are
it happens knowingly.
And when it happens knowingly, when they are pushed to a scenario, then there is a chance of usurping so many arms and ammunition. And that is what the games this nation play,
So it's all games.
History, and it's a game people play, why? And trust me, India, Pakistan, agar peaceful ho bhi jata hai future mein, there would be something between India and China.
True. So there's never going to be peace.
And that's never going to, because West they don't want to be living in harmony, So their agenda will be over, right? Their agenda will be over. And that's a fact. That's a fact. This is how the world works.
So it's knowingly happening. All wars all hostilities between India and other countries are by West, are like instigated by West.
It is a scenario created over a period of time, Over a period of time. There's a whole lot of funding. Terrorist ko sab fund kaun karta hai, Like
पता
Why a
नहीं.
terrorist has so much of money? तो हमारे पास नहीं है arms and ammunition. They are funded by different source of people. So the entire thing is to move this mechanism, जो बोलता है ना उसका जो gear grease. This is how the things work. This is how the
True.
things work. Erstwhile, it was a different scenario when one particular Aurangzeb or Ghazni wanted to usurp so many territories to show the world that I am the most powerful person in the world. अभी भी वही scenario in terms of like a US or somebody saying कि boss हम है करके.
It's
And
a
हम है
modern
कैसे
scenario,
बोलते
but thinking is always same.
and see any part of the world, दो कंट्री के बीच में कभी ना कभी हर बार चलता ही होगा मार. Whether it's
True.
Palestine, Israel, or some other place, either a civil war inside or war between two countries.
True.
सब
Sir,
कुछ स्टेबल हो जाएगा तो you would be in a सतयुग बोलते हैं ना उसको, सतयुग में होगा ना, where everything is fine. Yeah, tell me.
so you have been a veteran of Operation Talwar as well, and usme, like, in my limited understanding, they launched ships in front of Karachi to sort of stop the basic necessities from reaching the place, reaching Pakistan through trades and stuff. And but is it like Pakistan has a little bit of coast, which is why these ships were launched over there. But for a country which is completely bound by land, is it possible to stop their trades theoretically through ships?
Again, then you have to find what is the source of logistics coming in. A country which is like landlocked, then you have to find the source of logistics which is coming in. Then war is fighting one-to-one. War is one of those aspects of war. It again depends. Like you have to find out the entire the supply chain of that particular country. कोई भी हो, war में ऐसी होता है कि you just blindly don't go and do war. The war is जो field पे होता है वो सब, that's a one part of the war. There is a tactical level war going at a different level. तो अगर उसके आसपास कोई hostile country होगा या कोई friend country होगा, so many things are looked into. But yes, if a country is not landlocked totally और कोई भी एक end से अगर sea का रास्ता है, so yes, so definitely that becomes much more easier. Even if there is landlocked, the landlock होता है अगर वो landlock होके भी अगर वो country बीच में रहा, so for you to enter to that country, you have to cross the various other countries' border for them.
True.
Then there is lot of regulations and international conventions. It's not that easy. It's not that easy for them to go there. And so see, we are guided by so many conventions. ये नहीं कि हर country नहीं तो everyone will be a rogue. Everyone will start going and attacking left, right, and center. है ना?
True.
So this is the reason where the diplomatic ties, the diplomatic relation between the countries work. Then there are different जैसे बोलते हैं ना खुफिया एजेंसीज होते हैं ना, जैसे रॉ है.
True.
Yeah, any countries have that unit for them to perform certain things. So सब strategic level पे है, tactical level पे है, which probably even I don't have much of the knowledge. But yes, if some country wants that to happen, they will make it.
So that was very, very insightful. Sir, you've been in the Navy, and when we think about the Navy, we are always talking about ships. Itna bada ship hoga, and you've mentioned in the past how INS Virat is extremely huge from the insides. But what are submarines like? Because that's just a question कि वो purple वाला गोला बना करके, it's only a cartoon wherever we see it. So not much is known about submarines. What's a submarine like? So
submarine is one of the technological marvel and जो principle से work करता है underwater. So the Navy is three dimension. Underwater है, surface पे और air में है. So that is why Navy is called the three dimensional force, right? And life in submarine is totally different. It is not everyone's cup of tea. And then when you join the armed forces, you have a choice. You can choose a submarine arm, but submarine arm has got various requirements, the medical requirement, the physical requirement, and then the certain criteria to opt for that branch. And once you opt, you are trained, and the training is rigorous. The training is rigorous, wherein there are submarine medicals. It's a different medical. Then there are escape chambers and so many other trainings you have to do in case if something happens in a submarine. So life is pretty tough, and as I said, the comfort level is what you see in a surface navy. If it's 100, submarine, the comfort level would be at 20. And then you get hardline money for that. You get a dip money, whatever we call, by by choice people take it. Nobody forces you. It's a pride. And when you finish your training and your competency and whatever, you get a submarine arm badge which you proudly wears on your chest. So technologically it is pretty advanced, because it's a cat and mouse game which it plays during the war or even in a peace scenario. The surface ship or the there are other a chopper or something with a sonar which are constantly looking at finding you, right?
True.
So when 1971, the war happened, and then, Pakistani submarine Ghazi. Coincidentally, Pakistan had submarine much before us, so we had submarine later. So they were well versed much before us for various reasons, the various political reasons and the decisions which government took. It took some time for them to, realize the submarine power after independence. Pakistan was pretty, wise enough to have it early. So Ghazi it was purely Navy's smartness and the people who were administrating at that point of time, which fooled Ghazi to come in search of Vikrant, and that's how Ghazi was found, and whatever happened to Ghazi, it happened. But the entire skill set or the skill set of the people who man the submarine is one, defending itself, how much you can hide from the enemy. At the same time, the other is to find the enemy. So you operate in a very thin line. And yes, people say it's dangerous to be in a submarine, but no, they are professionals. They are trained for that. And then accidents or anything, it happens anywhere. It happens, even if it's a surface ship or road ho, train ho, kahin pe bhi hota hai. So yes, couple of accidents had happened in submarine, major accident across the globe. India also had couple of accidents. So these are all part and parcel of the game. But when you enter a submarine, it's a different feeling. Those people who are scared of, who are claustrophobic rather, they won't survive there. It's not their game, because it's a closed environment always, and the only chance you get to come up is when you are at the surface, when you are at the dockyards for the repairs, or when you are
Sir, how
alongside.
small is it, if I might ask?
No, it's not that small the way we are anticipating, with the way you are anticipating. It's a pretty huge, the lengthwise and the entire structure wise is pretty huge, and it's very well engineered. Various aspect of it is taken care, because it holds machineries, huge machineries. It holds weapons. It holds torpedoes. So many things. So yes, to summarize it in a layman's term, it's tough, no doubt about it. It's tough, but it's fine. Those people who love it find it, very, very attractive, very, very challenging for them. And life is all about challenge for different level of people, So वैसे.
So multiple times on Instagram, like even I've followed that, you've shared ghost stories. And what's the scariest, like what's like the scariest aspect of being on a ship?
See, the scariest aspect on being on a ship is when you are into oceans, like oceans में कैसे होता है, दूर दूर तक कोई होता नहीं है, दूर दूर तक. And I was on a ship, which was, one of my ships was a tanker, INS Jyoti karke, which is a refueling tanker for the fleet. And the refueling tankers sail a lot, because वो सारे जहाजों को तेल देना होता है. When you are at sea, it's called, replenishment at sea करके, रास बोलते हैं उसको. And रात को जब आप बाहर आते हो, खड़े रहते हो, चांदनी रात होती है तो ठीक है. It's a lonely feeling, because जो set of people you see is day in and out, same set of people. And when you are sailing for 30-40 days, imagine कि there are always chance of a mood swing. And आपका काम हो जाने के बाद, when you come on a quarter deck or a forecastle or wherever you are, and आप अमावस्या की रात है and अंधेरी रात है, when you are looking at, सब कुछ अंधेरा अंधेरा होता है. Then it's a huge vast thing. आपका एक जहाज है, यहाँ भी कुछ नहीं, वहाँ भी कुछ नहीं. So it's a bit scary. It's how you take it, and across the globe there are many stories, hallucinations se leke, people have seen ghost ships, where the ships which have,
Have you seen any
100
ghosts or any ghost related?
no on board ship नहीं, but जो मैं ship पे था वहां पर कुछ death हुए थे किसी civilians के during the when the ship was in dockyard. So people were a bit scared, होता है ना, built up. See, why a ghost stories happen, one is a built up, लोग बोल के यहाँ ऐसे है for this, and then you also start feeling that. That's how that's how it built up, and then उसके बाद experiences होता है. If someone would have some experience, not on ship but personal life में, yes, I believe in paranormal. I do a lot of research. I hear a lot of paranormal stuff. A lot of friends who do paranormal research. I'm part of a small team also. So yes, it's all the game of energies. It's
So
all the
how does
game
it
of
not scare you? Like it's scary in terms of like सुन लो तो.
नहीं सी क्या होता है ना, आप भगवान में विश्वास रखते हो तो इट इज एज सिंपल एज दैट. इफ देयर इज गुड, इफ देयर इज बैड, देयर इज बैड. लाइक एनर्जी का खेल है पूरा. इट्स ऑल अबाउट एनर्जी, एंड इट्स ऑल अबाउट हाउ मच यू बिलीव एंड यू डोंट बिलीव, राइट? क्योंकि इमेजिन अ प्लेस वेयर यू आर अलोन, सो देयर विल बी लॉट ऑफ थॉट प्रोसेस which will come to it. And then I've experienced couple of things which was beyond explanation. There are so many things beyond explanation. See, बोलते हैं ना कि what we see and we know is only 15 to 20%. 80% is unknown to us, And if we think we are the smartest people, it doesn't work
You're
like
not.
that, because we are in a universe. और जैसे वो मूवी था ना पीके, उसमें बोलता है हमें गोला है, बस यूनिवर्स में हमें गोला है, right?
True.
So I believe in alien theory. I believe in so many things, because when you are so intelligent and when you can build up so many things,
You're not the
and you are
only
trying
one.
to find about other planets and things, there may be so many developed planets which probably we are not aware, and there are a number of documentaries on Netflix and other places which gives about it.
True.
ये सारे हैं, होते हैं. People may say superstitious, ये है वो है extra. Yes, rituals are superstitious, but the energies are real.
True.
Yes.
So you have been a war veteran in the Navy. You've been an ultra marathoner, TEDx speaker, Fit India ambassador. Sir, what is the one top thing that you learned that changed your life and that you would want the audiences to take away from today?
So it's all about passion. One thing which drives me is passion combined with discipline, right? So it's passion. Like when I conduct a podcast, like yesterday I had a podcast with someone, so that my passion to one is my passion of listening. I'm a good listener. And then my passion of getting the youth of this country, or rather the country, the people of our country, to be aware of the armed forces, to respect the people who are serving, veterans, their families, because many other countries in the world do. So it's that passion which drives me for various causes. To write a book, that's my passion. Writing is my passion. To run a marathon, that's my passion. To be a good parent, that's my passion. To be a good father to my daughter, to be a good husband to my wife, to be a good son to my parents, that's passion. So one thing underlines is passion. And if you're passionate, you can scale anything. And if you're not passionate, or जबरदस्ती का आपको कुछ करा रहा है, like for example, had you not passionate, you would not have pursued me to come to your podcast.
No, sir.
So much. Right? So much. लोग करके छोड़ देते हैं, because even everyone is busy. I am busy today. Luckily, I'm work from home, so I could take some time and talk to you and things like that. So the underlying factor is passion plus discipline, right? Discipline is important. Like you have to face. There's nothing called time management. लोग बोलते हैं ना time management. It's a purely wrong concept. It's self management. You have to manage yourself in the available time. 24 घंटा आपके पास है, मेरे पास है, मोदी के पास है, सबके पास है. So how you manage that 24 hours is important, right?
True.
And it's all when you have to manage that 24 hours. You have to be passionate. Second, you have to be disciplined. Passionate about your work, passionate about what you do at that point of time. When I'm on Instagram, I should be passionate about connecting to people. And if I am working, or if I'm in some family thing, I should be passionate about being there and not on Instagram. So at that particular point of time, at whatever you do, you have to be passionate. नहीं तो it just become a mundane thing कि चल होना है, ये आज होना है करके, तो होना है करके. So yes, to answer your question, it was passion plus discipline.
So what is your message to the youth? Because you are so inspiring and so many different people take so much inspiration from you. Like writing a book, doing this, doing that. We only dream of doing like one thing कि मैंने book लिख ली बस हो गया मेरा, मैंने achieve कर लिया, हो गया, फोड़ दिया सब. Sir, you're constantly doing so many things, and this is what's so inspiring, and every single time there's something new, there's something better. So what is your message to the youth? How do you do something like that?
Yeah, see, so my message to youth is you definitely need to be multitasking. Today the world is about multitasking. You cannot be, having one thing Or if you're having one thing, you should be master in that. You should be the best. Like you should be the A.R. Rahman in the music industry, right? Otherwise, it's all about multitasking. You have to multitask. Again, that multitask come with passion. If someone asks me to go and dance, that's not my passion, because yeah, that's not my passion. If someone wants me to gym or run, that's my passion. So you have to find out which are your niche, right? And then work on that niche. And it has to be three, four. There is no other thing. Is my message to youth would be spend time on yourself, love yourself. That's very self-love is very, very important. When I say self-love, that doesn't mean to be always thinking about yourself. It's not that. To be self-centered and self-love is totally different. Self-love is when you take care of yourself. That is both physical, mental aspect. When you spend time on yourself, upgrading yourself, investing on yourself so that you're a better person. And when you do that, you would be passionate to others. You would love others. You would see from your perspective towards other कि मेरे साथ अगर ये होता तो कैसे होता. So when I put myself in that shoes, then your perspective changes, right? कोई एक बंदा है, भीख मांग रहा है रोड पर या जंक्शन पर खाना मांग रहा है, तो जनरली क्या करते, भगा देते हैं उसको. when you love yourself, you will put yourself on him or her shoe. and तुम सोचोगे कल यार मेरे साथ ये सिचुएशन होता तो क्या होता. am I in a capacity to help that person? Maybe 5 rupees, 10 rupees, या खाना ला के दे दो. am I that? So it comes, that realization comes from you, right?
True.
That is my message to all the youth. Spend time on yourself. Take time out for physical activities. Very, very important, because we are in a modern age and like everything is, nahi चाह के भी lot of artificial stuffs are going through our food and various other
True.
aspects. So being fit is one of the key element physically and mentally.
True.
And self-respect. Self-respect is something that especially to the youth, is you can't be वो बोलते हैं ना कि fanatic about someone,
True.
especially in the relationship and all those teenage where people think he or she is everything, so they are not ready to accept rejections, right? And when you are so immersed in that other person, and when you are not ready to accept rejection, then you damage yourself. Your self-confidence goes for a toss. That should not happen, because whoever is there, you should be above everyone.
True.
And then you realize, and especially for youth, your focus right now should be to carve a niche for you, to go
True.
to the next level, to focus on your career, to build something for you. And you cannot waste time on something which is unproductive. And I say that I've seen, it's an age of infatuation. It's an age of everything is in open domain, and you start comparing yourself with others. See, we have to realize कि हम सब beautiful है. Each one of us is handsome and beautiful. God has made us. So your looks or anything doesn't dictate things. How beautiful
Undoubtedly.
you are from inside. For your
Undoubtedly.
parents and your loved one, you are the most beautiful person. They don't care
True.
about anybody else. If tomorrow a Shah Rukh Khan come and tomorrow you are there for your parents, obviously they will kill Shah Rukh Khan for you.
True.
That is, then you have to realize that you are loved.
True.
And people start always comparing कि यार इसके पास वो है, उसके पास ये है. Yes, compare करो. You take the good points from people. Why a
True.
Shah Rukh Khan would be a successful person. Well on that. Why is he so successful? उसने भी मेहनत की है एक टाइम पर.
True.
उसकी मेहनत पे ध्यान दो. Forget about the glamour and things, whatever he is doing now, but how he came there. So that when you start focusing on that, your life will be different.
True.
And I repeat, self-love, not self-centered, self-respect, not overthinking and thinking about some people who doesn't respect you, right? So such people, so the choice of saying no has to be very, very, very important. Life में no बोलना सीखना बहुत important है, और कहाँ पर no बोलना है वो तुम्हें आना ही चाहिए.
True.
सब yes करोगे तो फिर हो गया,
True.
So that is what is important in life.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. It's an absolute honor to have you over here. Thank you so much again.
Yeah. Thank you, Veera, and thank you, Veera, and thank you, Veera, and thank you, Veera, and thank you, Veera, and